Fantastic Four is the latest woke Marvel film to undergo some significant trouble heading to the box office. We saw Captain America Brave New World really fail to deliver. It was one of the worst movies that Marvel's put out so far. It lost a significant amount of money, only making about $400 million, which inflation adjusted means it's one of the lowest grossing Marvel movies to date. Thunderbolts, which by pretty much all accounts is a better movie, underperformed Brave New World and is also on track to, I would say, almost certainly lose money, but certainly not be a tentpole film they hoped it would be to help build that excitement they need us to have for Avengers Doomsday. And now this film is undergoing struggles. It is going to come out in 2 months. It seems like one of the major problems is that the plot, the ending, isn't quite where they want it to be, which is unfortunate because the ending is actually one of the most important parts of any film. I won't get into spoilers, but that's what it mostly revolves around. This film, I think, has a lot of problems. First off, I would say the film suffers from a very woke agenda forced into it. I've read actors and actresses in this film talk about how they're not going to make Johnny this, big bombastic, guy with flair and womanizing and what we know about him. They're going to make him more of a toned down guy who's more self-reflective, and we're going to go more into his emotions, and we don't want him to come across as too much of a bully or a womanizer or anything like that. To me, that is not what the character was written to be. I think, particularly with, the fiery superpowers, is the way I've always seen him portrayed. It's really a mistake to make him this kind of introspective, meek, feminist kind of guy. We see that they say that gender politics is going to be an important part of this film, and they're going to make Sue this woman who's very politically powerful, and how she's going to be juggling womanhood with being a superhero and being a parent and all. This is, I think, not the kind of introspection we want from superheroes. I understand superheroes have families and they have their private lives, but people, at least what I want to see, is superheroes sacrificing, fighting villains, overcoming adversity that is that is tremendous adversity, not dealing with, how do I parent a kid? That's somewhat interesting, I suppose, particularly if the kid has superpowers, but it's not what I expect from a superhero movie, and I don't think it's going to drive fans to the box office. To me, Fantastic Four is a franchise that has struggled a lot to produce good films. When I saw this trailer, I was reminded of some of the previous films that weren't the best. They weren't terrible, but I don't think Fantastic Four has had a film that's been really great. Certainly nothing on the level of, The Dark Knight, or even, some of the standard tentpole Marvel films like Captain America, Winter Soldier, which I love, one of the best movies, but even something like a Thor. I don't think Fantastic Four has reached that level in film yet. From watching the trailer, I was quite concerned. I thought the acting was somewhat wooden. I don't think the jokes worked. I've seen the recent TV spot they put out. Basically nothing. To me, they really need to bring a faithful adaptation to the film, one that doesn't do a lot of woke politicking, because in my mind, that's really divisive and it makes the show too political. Now, I realize I am somewhat divisive in my analysis, but I'm not trying to appeal to tens of millions of people, right? I'm just trying to speak my opinion about what I see. And when you're trying to make a feature film that everyone can go to, that's, right or left on the political spectrum, and for overseas audiences, I don't think you want a lot of gender politicking in it. I think you want to go with what people know and love. And Fantastic Four already is sort of one of the weaker Marvel properties in terms of box office success. This, combine that with the reshoots, the the issues with Marvel recently, and I would say a bad trailer. I am not optimistic this is going to be a good film. I'm hoping it will be, but I'm not optimistic. And Marvel really better hope it is, because this is supposed to really build up anticipation for Doomsday. And you're not going to have another Marvel feature film for a year after this. So if this bombs, it's going to leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth, just like Captain America Brave New World left a bad taste in people's mouths. And I think that hurt Thunderbolts, which was, by pretty much all accounts, a better movie. If this bombs, it's going to be really bad for Marvel. And I think Marvel knows this is going to bomb, which is why they pushed back Doomsday 6 months and Secret Wars 6 months, because they need time for reshoots and to try to rebuild the brand, because they cannot afford to have those two movies bomb. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Are you excited for this movie? Do you think it's going to do well at the box office? And do you think it's more importantly going to be a good movie? I am quite skeptical. I don't like pretty much anything I've seen so far, but I root for it. I hope when I go to the theaters, it's going to be good. But let me know what you guys think.